Here's where it begins.
Hello and welcome back to another Reality Check VR informative video. I actually have some information today that I hope is of some good use to some people out there. I know it is definitely very useful for myself, and it actually happened, like most things, from a fluke. I was having some difficulties, as some of you might know, when I was streaming. I was actually having little blackouts with my Rift every once in a while where, like in Robo Recall, when you would teleport, you would come back from a teleportation and it would just stay black. It would just completely stay black. And the way I would fix it is I could unplug, the HDMI, and I could plug it back into my breakout cable, and boom, the video would come back on and it would work just fine. And that was just something that was just being persistent for me, right? And I had some other people out there that said, yeah, they were kind of having some blackouts, some choppiness here and there. And I wasn't sure what it was. Somebody who's played with a lot of HDMI cables in production, I know that they can go bad pretty easily. So of course I did do the HDMI checks. I was checking my HDMI breakout cable, which I use a 10-foot monoprice cable, and it seemed to be just fine. I tested my Rift cable by switching it with a different one, and it seemed to be just fine. That wasn't the problem there at all. But I kept having these blackouts. So anyway, what I found was the actual culprit of the problem was this little coupler right here, this little HDMI coupler that I used to, put the actual breakout cable and the Rift cable together. And from there, apparently this guy was failing. I found out because, not only did a second one, oddly enough, give me similar problems, but a heavier duty, more expensive one seemed to do the trick. And in case you're wondering which one this one is, this is they've got a couple different versions, but they've got the VCE brands on Amazon, and you can get like 2 of those for $5, so they're like $2.50 a piece, and they work just fine. So it's just quite odd that could be the actual problem. But then I started thinking, I thought, hey, if this is the issue right here, if it's a little, if it's this little HDMI coupler, it was causing me little blackouts and causing all my problems the whole time. And for some reason, like when I was streaming, like how did that affect it more? I don't know if there's just, when I stream, I generally have more juice running all at the same time because I have several OBSs. And anyway, I don't know if the power was going less through my HDMI during that time period. I really don't understand that. What I do know is that when I switched this, it fixed the problem. So people out there that are having some issues, it might be a weak coupler. Of course, you might have a wrong cable. I also did notice a lot of people out there that have videos showing the cables, they give wrong advice. And of course, one of the most popular articles out there tells people to buy the wrong cable. And unfortunately, these videos these articles are just people that are not paying attention at all to what's going on. I made videos, I think, like 6 months ago, at least 6 months ago, explaining the exact right cables that you can buy that do work, and that's of course the monoprice Red Mirror HDMI cables, and the Cable Matters USB, as well as the HDE cable, or the HDE USB cables. They also work as well. I know I'm talking a lot of stuff here. Anyway, no joke. Like I actually went and bought a bunch of different kinds of cables. Here's the one that a lot of people, they actually tell you to buy this one that has the female on one side and the male on the other side. And this one doesn't work. It's a super great fast cable and it does not work. It does not give you the signal. It shows connected, but you get no picture, right? And of course, this one right here is just too long. It doesn't give me any connection. So, there's just a bunch of them. And I had another version. This is a Cable Matters one, same thing. We've got female on one side, male on the other. This one does not give you a connection. Shows the Rift connected, but you get no picture. So what's the deal? All right, so here we go. We've got one of these monoprice. I'll open it up here. So it actually says on one side, it says the display, and on the other side it says source, so you know which one to plug into which side. This cable gives you a great connection, and as long as you're using an HDMI coupler that's proper, it will actually work just fine. For the USB 3 side of things, of course, you can use the Cable Matters USB 3 10-foot, and it'll work just fine as well. So of course, you've got a 10-foot cable and a 10-foot cable, and then one coupler, and right there, that is enough for a breakout cable. And of course, if you're going to be super cool, you can of course go buy yourself some cable sleeves and some zip ties, and then you can make yourself a bunch of breakout cables. But I know that information's been around for a little while. For my setup, I was using one of these 15-foot Cable Matters USB 3.0 active cables, and I was using one of these, and of course a 10-foot cable, because the 15-foot cable wouldn't work, right? And if you plug in a 15-foot cable of this right here, it gives you no picture, even though it gives you hey, it connected, there's no picture at all. So I actually really wanted to fix that. I didn't want to have two opposite cable lengths, so I wanted to either get a 15-foot HDMI cable or change this down to a 10-foot. But of course, we want more room space, right? So how could we possibly get more room space? Well, when I was looking online, I realized they've got these little things called these HDMI repeaters, right? And just look at that real quick. HDMI repeater, super cool, super cool. Anyway, these guys come in two different versions. This is the less expensive version. I think it was about $8. They have another version, of course, that's $15. It's even more robust and gives more, of a signal boost. But this light little thingy actually does the trick. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here I have one of those Monoprice 15-foot cables. One side says display, one side says source. So I'm going to take the display side of this Monoprice cable and I'm going to plug it into the input side of this repeater. Alright, now we've got that plugged in. I'll take the source side of this cable, plug it into the back of my computer. 15-foot cable here. Okay, so I've got my Rift cable here. I'm just going to plug in the HDMI, of course, to the output of the repeater. My USB 15-foot 3.0 active cable, and I'll plug that in right there. There we go. Oops, just want you to see this real quick. We are getting picture. That's right, I know it's blurry, but it's hard to see. But you can see the lights are on, the gameplay is going right there. If I take this little cover off, I'll show you again. So you can see how the light is actually on right there. It turned off, light's off, right? But I put the finger back in front. What happens? Oh, turns back on, finger's off, turns off, and turns back on. Okay, so there you have it. Of course, I'm going to have links in the description of all those items, but I do need to do one more thing. Because I have new cable links, I've got a new HDMI cable I'm going to be using with my own setup, I need to make a better breakout cable. And I'm going to have some old spare cables, so I might as well sell those, right? So I'm going to put those in the Pro VR gear store as well, so we can buy breakout cables, because how nice of, the ability to put everything in one spot and buy it. Hey, how about that? Of course, it's going to be me taking these items and purchasing them and then putting them into a proper cable. But the best way to do that is with tools. And I've got some heat shrink and a heat gun. So let's get started. Alright, so it only took a couple hours more than expected, but I finally got it finished, and here we have it. As you can see, it is working right there, but we have the 15-foot extension cable working right here, and of course I'm going to do some close-up shots so you can see that a little bit more. Alright, so right here, just as we showed earlier, we've got the Rift plugged into the end of the 3.0 Cable Matters 15-foot cable, and of course we also have the 15-foot Monoprice HDMI cable with the repeater HDMI piece on there, and that allows me to add, of course, more distance. You actually can do more than 15 feet, but the USBs are about 15 feet, so there's really no reason that you would. So I'm not going to talk about 20 foot or 25 because there's just no reason to do that at this point, maybe in the future. But as you can see, this whole thing is just really nicely done because it's a heat shrink material, and I bought the 1-inch heat shrink. It's very, very difficult to get that cable through this 1-inch heat shrink, but I managed to do so. Like I said, it did take a couple hours longer than I thought it was going to, but we did that. So let me take it apart here. Coiling the ultra long breakout cable. Oh, actually, you're going to see this is how you coil. This is how you coil cable. Okay, you go like this. You start it like that. Right, watch. You go like that. Bring it around, right? Bring it around, and you let it follow its path. Follow its path right on top of itself, right? But then when you get to the next one, you actually watch this move. You come up and around. So you bring this bottom piece over here like that, right? And it goes on top of there. So you make it even, right? And then you go like it wants to, right? Just like that. All right, right at the end of the cable. That keeps it from tangling up, and that's the proper way to coil a cable. Remember that. So as you can see here, this is my breakout cable. It is actually just a little bit over 15 feet long, and it works great. I've tested it now for a couple of days. It's actually my 3rd day playing with it, and I haven't had any problems whatsoever. I have had no cutouts. I've had no lag, no latency, no loss of quality. Nothing different that I can tell from plugging it directly into the back of my computer or using this cable. It works exactly the same. I'm proud to say that, and like I said, all the links for these cables are going to be in the description below. I'm going to make one more of these cables myself, and I'm also going to make 2 10-foot cables. And like I said, I'm going to put those available on provrgear.com once I've got them made. It's a pain in the butt getting them through this heat shrink wrap, but I'm going to do it later. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to go play some games. See you next time. Later. Of course, I'm going to have links to all those different items down in the